Welcome to the Vinny Rock Podcast.
I took the blows and did it my way.
It's time. The Vinny Rock Podcast. What up, what up, what up? It's the Vinny Rock Podcast. What's up? Yo, so before we start, I got my boy James Cameron on here. He is a expert in it's pretty much crisis management and also active shooter management. He's been doing this for years. He's highly experienced. He has a book on this. And, you know, he's the guy I went to say, hey, so all this stuff going on in the world right now, it's a little crazy. How would you prepare your family? And he came up with some good stuff. I want to share that with you guys who are curious on how you can protect your family, how you can be prepared for the worst case scenario, because really that's all we're doing here. We're getting ready for the worst case scenario and hoping for the best. And that's kind of how I take things in my life. It might sound crazy, but that's just who I am. Either way, let's go to the sponsors real quick. Core Medical Group right now is doing amazing deals for you guys that are struggling, who want to get their blood work done, who want to get involved in the program, but maybe before it was a little out of your price range. They're doing a $199 deal a month right now. Give them a call, Core Medical Group, $199. And I'm telling you, even if that's, hit them up. They're a fucking real company, real people, and they'll work with you. It's a weird time right now, but the worst thing you can do is not allow yourself to stay on your testosterone because of a budget. They can hit you up. They can work with you. And if you have a budget, they're the ones who can work with your budget as well. Go hit up Core Medical Group for testosterone replacement therapy, shipped directly to your fucking house. Yes, it's the real deal. I do it myself, and I love it. And I tell you what, since I've been on TRT, it's changed my life. Straight up. Beyond Clothing, outdoor expeditionary clothing, it's another company out there that's doing their best to stay afloat. Everyone is. It's a crazy time. This is a company that I love. Their gear is top-notch in quality. They do a lot of contracts. The government uses them, a lot of people, and I would recommend you guys check them out too. If the government uses it and it's good enough for the special operations community, trust me, it's good enough for you. BeyondClothing.com. Go check them out. Warfighter Tobacco. You go to warfightertobacco.com and order yourself some cigars for the house while you're on quarantine. If you're going to be sitting there, you might as well smoke a good cigar. My favorite cigars, I'm going to name them right here. 762 Garrison, get that bad boy. I love it. It smokes so freaking good. And the Victory, obviously, the great. I love it. The whole Garrison line is my favorite. Even the whole freaking Field line, those are great too. But I'm a 762 guy myself. That's what I smoke the most. Lead Slingers Whiskey. If you guys are interested in getting hand sanitizer in bulk, I'm talking if you're a government agency, if you want to buy several cases, Lead Slingers Whiskey is doing that now. We have already figured out how to take care of Oklahoma as much as we could and as much as they needed. We're still producing alcohol for them. We're still producing hand sanitizer for them, but we're able to figure out our shipping, so now we can provide it for you in bulk orders. So hit up Lead Slingers Whiskey. If you're interested, do not email me. You got to email info@leadslingerswhiskey.com. And again, info@leadslingerswhiskey.com. Go check them out. Perseverance Survival, small, homegrown business. You guys got to help them out. Buy a Whoopee hoodie. Buy some Ranger panties. Do whatever you can to keep these people afloat. PerseveranceSurvival.com. They got good gear. They're home of the original Whoopee hoodie. Willie Pete's chocolate is the same. You guys want your chocolates? That's something I crave right now while in quarantine. Well, you might as well, instead of ordering a Snickers bar, get it from WilliePete'sChocolates.com. Hit them up. Good people. I'm sponsored by Alpha Elite Supplements. I also use Alpha Elite Supplements. My promo code is Rocco15. I use the detox. It helps me sleep at night, which is crazy, and it also helps in your immune system, which is fucking even more crazy. I love it. I can't take pre-workout because of my heart condition, but I can take the protein. I can take the detox and several other things. So you guys are interested in any kind of things like that, check them out. GMR Gold right now is a really interesting time. A lot of people asking me about this. Some guy recently just picked up a bullion box shipment box for, I think it's $200 a month is what he signed up for. It's a weird time, but I promise you, gold and silver ain't going nowhere, and they're staying very, very relevant. This is why I do it. I enjoy it. I collect them, and at the same time, hey, it's all worth money. It's not money wasted. It's kind of a swap, a trade for this or that. So that's why I love it, and that's why I continue to do it. Barry Law. I've tried to explain this to you guys before. I know a lot of guys would be interested in this. I definitely believe you guys would be happy to use this. Barry Law is, this podcast is sponsored by them. Barry Law is a team founded by veterans for veterans. They're dedicated for service for fellow veterans in their fight for disability benefits. Going through the VA and appeal process can be a difficult one and confusing at times, but you don't have to do it alone. Visit ptsdlawyers.com/Rocco to get a free copy of their book, The Next Battle, A Guide to Veterans Disability Claims. You guys hear it right now. If you guys didn't miss that, go right now to ptsdlawyers.com/Rocco to get your free copy of their book called The Next Battle, A Guide to Veterans Disability Claims. Let them know I sent you shit. If you go there, you're going to get yourself a free book. It's going to give you a lot of information. I promise these guys, I've met these guys. I've hung out with these guys. They're legit. Hit them up, ptsdlawyers.com/Rocco. And last but not least, no easies, no player. And if you can't handle the streets, then get the hell out. That's it. We're going to get to the podcast. My boy, James Cameron. I love y'all. Be safe out there, please. Later.
Word. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Vinny Rock Podcast. Obviously, we're going to have to do a lot of these Zooms here soon because of the quarantine situation, and I'm still working. I'm still doing work. I'm building websites right now for a company here locally just to keep the lights on. You know what I'm talking about? But I want to invite my boy here, James. James Cameron is military, pretty extensive background. And then after that, you started doing some contracting, and now you facilitate your own contracting company, and you focus a lot, like pretty heavily in the space of, what would you say? What is that space called? Active shooter slash.
Yeah, it's a bit of active shooter. It really falls under the whole case of risk management.
Yeah.
So when I got done contracting, the diplomatic security side of the house, you come back to the States and, executive protection. That's kind of what you know, and did that for a few years, opened a company, and then realized, what's the next step? Nobody retires from executive protection, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's a difficult job to get into. It's a difficult job to maintain contracts, things like that. So what's the next step? Okay, risk management. December, was it 2015 is when I really got into the workplace violence and active shooter. That's when the San Bernardino shooting happened. And I started taking a look around and saying, well, what's out there for civilians that is easy for them to understand, yet prepares them for an active shooter? We all see Department of Homeland Security, FBI, run, hide, fight, right? But nobody's talking about how do we prepare ahead of time, which hopefully mitigates it from ever happening.
Well, it's funny. A lot of people teach on the tactical side of things, but 90% of the people out there in civilian world are not tactical. You know what I mean? And so there's got to be something that's, like, I would say, I always use a reference like my mom. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
What's the knowledge that she can pull from any kind of training that would be conducive to her survival in a stressful situation? She's not going to put on a vest and freaking, tap rack and smoke someone. She's going to run. She's going to scream. And what can she do to mitigate her mistakes, right? And bring more, I guess, opportunity for her to find success in a really traumatic event.
Well, initially, you're 100% right. And initially, when I took a look at this, I took the tactical side out of it. The last thing I really wanted to do was get into arguments with gunslingers on the proper techniques of entering rooms. And
we're good at that. We're good at shitting on each other's opinions on tactics.
100%. So I absolutely took the opposite approach and said, how is it that we can help individuals within an organization at the lowest level? Because you never know. It could be the janitor. It could be the CEO, which is on the X or in that hotspot and has to, take those urgent steps required to live. Yeah. So that's kind of the perspective that I took, is how is it we can train everybody at the lowest level to be prepared for it?
Yeah, and that's important. And I think a lot of people miss that, right? I think a lot of guys in our community, we teach our own for so long that you forget that there's a whole different level, another echelon lower that doesn't understand basic concepts, and the jargon we even use can be confusing.
Well, honestly, when I first started, I was surprised and shocked that people didn't understand the difference between run, hide, fight. They've heard it so often. That's the order they think they do it. So they think they first have to run, then they have to hide, and then they're going to have to fight. And to even change that mindset, look, whoa, we have to talk about each scenario is different. And you may be running one moment, hiding, but you've always got to be prepared to fight, because you may turn that corner when you're running and run right into somebody.
Well, it's funny how training kind of trickles down, and it's just like the telephone game. There's things important context that gets missed throughout communication throughout the years, or as it trickles down to other agencies. I mean, I can, from my own example, the Border Patrol, the tactical medical side of things, they started teaching tactical medical to medics, but never teaching them the tactics that go along with it. Right. It was this miscommunication on like, hey, we're going to teach them how to put on a tourniquet. We're going to stop the bleed. But I'm like, wait, that's cool. That's fine. But every basic training individual who goes through basic training learns tactics first, the basics of tactics, right? Like you don't just jump straight to putting on a tourniquet. You need to make sure the scene is safe, right? You need to eliminate the threat and all these things that for some reason was missed. And it happens, right? It just happens because someone just didn't have the experience, but they were trying to do the right thing by bringing in new training. And so, this happens all the time. And it's kind of why I wanted to bring you on here. We're going through this really weird time, and I'm not a big fan of like the fear mongering or creating mass hysteria, but I do like to tell people, and I did a podcast on my own talking about how like I'm at least prepared for how bad things could get because of the way people are handling it, right? And the way things have started, like the mass buying of toilet paper and water and all this stuff was a little confusing to me, because I'm like, that's not where my head's at, right? Like my head's not worried about the toilet paper. My head actually, what I did was dust off all my gear, right? I dusted off all my gear. I loaded mags. I got my gear back into what would work for my body now, because I haven't worn it in about a year. You know what I mean? And my mind was like, okay, if this thing goes, topsy-turvy, man. I already think about the economic backlash that could happen for those who already have unstable jobs or who already live paycheck to paycheck. And I mean, I don't know if you noticed this, but a lot of us live paycheck to paycheck, including myself. You know what I mean? It's like, it's, I think I guess the biggest thing was financial stability is now, me and my wife talk, like me and Chris was just like, okay, we need to be smarter about how we invest our money and how we put money away. We kind of been like, all right, let's buy a new house. Let's get the kids settled. And you never expect a moment like this to happen.
No.
And what's happening right now.
I don't think anybody really did. And you're right. For guys like us, the mindset is a little bit different, right? So I put the food and the toilet paper is like 75 paces back, right? I mean, it's not even on my radar. But what I did do was, you're right. I dusted off my kit. I got my wife kitted out. I gave her some of my old kit.
I did the same, dude.
I'm not a huge tactical store kind of person, but I went down to, one of the tactical stores and I started buying functional pants that are smart, some extra pouches that maybe I didn't have before, so I started doing all that. And yes, buying ammo when I saw it. I didn't hoard it. It was more of, I walked into a shop, they had a can of 500 rounds of 5.56. I already had, a couple hundred rounds, but I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to grab some.
In our mindset, we know like you can't hoard ammo because you got to carry the ammo. Most people don't think like that, right? Like most people don't think like, wait a minute, if I have to carry it, is that even feasible, dude? But and also guys like us, we are much more efficient with our ammo, so you don't need to have 10,000 rounds on us. If I do have a full basic kit loadout. Don't get me wrong. However. Yeah.
Right. But that's going to go a long way. I'm not going to dump a mag into one dude.
Yeah. I have a bug out bag, right, with extra ammo.
Right.
I have this one bag that's just specific for ammo, right? I have my daughter's loaded mags just so they knew how to load mags, because I don't want them. They don't need to really learn how to shoot. We don't have enough time, but we do have enough time. Load that mag for dad to keep doing his thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like these little basic things that most of the world probably didn't think of and probably look at us like we're crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, I feel
we're the ones that won't be starving either, though.
Right. It's like, look, man, I'm gonna fight to food. I can create food. I can do all this stuff.
Right.
But like, what I have to make sure I do is secure my family, right? Secure the safety of my family, and there's a pretty solid Mormon community around me, and they're all very good people. And I'm not LDS, but I have a really good relationship with them. And I've been working with some of them and teaching them some home defense stuff, and just for the hell of it. I mean, we're a community, and in the end, right? Like, this little community is probably going to have to safeguard itself. And all the houses that back to me in my head, I'm like, okay, this is a good fighting position as long as we all know what we're doing here. Right. And so I kind of did that in my own community, and I'm still, some of these guys are like, I'm not going to let this guy into my house, but I'm also just looking for, locations of opportunity for them to get, invaded or whatnot. If this shit goes to the worst place my mind can take it. Right. And that's kind of right.
Which honestly isn't that far off, realistically. I mean, you see major metropolitan police departments, they've all been geared up and ready. They've been put on the highest alert for the last 3 weeks in preparation for, I live here in Vegas. When the casinos close down and board up, that's not because they want to stop the spread. That's because they're protecting their investment if and when it goes south. Yeah. Right. So I'd rather, this is my thinking anyway. If I'm going to take a hit, I'll take it on the front end where I'm losing revenue versus taking the hit of losing my building and everything that's in it. Right. So
which you can end up turning around and making that investment right back once you get up and running again.
Correct. So when you start seeing large organizations and police departments doing that, most people aren't thinking on that level. We are. Fortunately, but again, not to the crazy side of it, because I have to advise a lot of my clients, and we've moved out of the how do we advise the organization to how do we advise the individuals within that organization now. Right. So there's things that I've had to talk about with clients on conference calls that they never expected me to have to talk about. At the same time, they're damn happy I was there to be able to talk to me.
Bro, I mean, I had the conversation with my mom and dad.
Yeah.
I was loading mags, I was organizing, and everything's now organized. It's, there's probably one day where Christy looked at me like, what, but I said, like, let me get my peace of mind and get my side of stuff organized in my head. Right. And then I was like, what a dick I am if I don't call my brothers and sisters and mom and dad and let them know where my head's at. Based on the life of experiences that we have, I feel like it's only fair to tell them, who probably don't think like me. And I think I scared one of my sisters, and I'm like, I'm not here to scare you. I'm saying you should have a plan if this goes south. And then my mom and dad are like, they're older. I'm like, hey, just remember where this might go or can go. And you guys are the softest targets in the area. So just be smart. Sure. My dad's like, okay. And, so now my dad's prepared. My brother's prepared. Everyone's kind of prepared. And it's this weird thing where it's like, I almost didn't tell them because I didn't want to scare them. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want them pulled into my world of where my head lives, because I think sometimes I've been, you know what I'm saying when I say that?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like, I know where my head lives. My head lives where, like, the world is fucking fucked up and I'm ready for this shit to go down, right? I've been training for this my whole life.
That's what I say.
Exactly. And it's like, but I know I might be a little crazy with that because of what we've lived through and because of what we've seen, all the fucked up shit. Like, now we kind of expect.
But there's a difference. I think there's a difference between us and you, the extremes, when you watch the prepper shows, right? I don't think you're a prepper. I'm not a prepper.
No,
but I'm prepared enough, right? But I'm not. I've got 75 years worth of food. Well, that's great because somebody like me is going to come take it from you. That's my mentality.
Well, in my mentality is like all the LDS churches around me, they all prepare for a bunch of food for years. Okay, well, I'm a partner with them now because I've teach them how to save that. I'll secure it for them. You know what I mean? We were a team now. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where but yes, exactly. Like, in the end of the game, it's the guy with the biggest firepower is going to take over and
it knows how to use it.
And knows how to use it. And that's the other fear right now, right? And I want to get to your stuff later. Just right now, I just kind of want to rip on this stuff because that's
awesome. Like, let's roll.
Dude, it's crazy because all these people now are buying guns. And I tell people all the time, the scariest motherfucker in the room is the guy with a gun who has no training. That guy scares the fuck out of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that guy's going to kill people accidentally because he has it. It's out of fear, not out of, like, comfort.
So can I share a quick story on that?
Please.
And it might be it's a little bit of a rant.
No, it's fun. Please.
So I hear what you're saying on untrained people. So what I did was I took it upon myself, like you helping out the community. I put a notice out on the social media saying, hey, any new gun owners, hit me up. I'd like to put together some training for you, because I understand that, people aren't comfortable. They're buying it out of what they feel is need and fear, but they don't know what they're doing with it. I mean, I've gone down to the gun shops talking to these gun owners or the gun shop owners, because I have relationships with them, and like, dude, these people are signing up for permits for the first time. There was a girl, there was like 3 or 4 girls that were walking in the gun store, Louis Vuitton, out, high heels, and they're, which gun should I get? And I was like, oh, Jesus. Right?
Oh, crap. Just get a vest.
Yeah, that's it. So I put the social media thing together, and because my background, I used to be a Department of State certified firearms instructor. So it's not out of, hey, James Cameron, it's, hey, let's go talk range safety. Yeah. Let's talk weapon safety. And then we'll do some engagement, some targets, nothing moving and shooting. Just, I want to see you operate and function with a weapon. Right. So one, I get backlash from somebody in the community out here that does this for a living. And I'm like, look, I know you do it for a living, and I'm not trying to take business away from you, but at this point in time, when people don't have jobs, it's time to give back to the community.
There's an ethical thing behind this, Vid. You gotta show compassion to life.
Exactly right. You gotta, if you have some knowledge, give back what you can. That to me, that's leadership, right? Not hoarding that information.
No, I've never charged for training, and as much as I sometimes want to, that's just a hole that I don't want to go around personally, right? I just don't want to get down. But like in this moment, I'm the dick if I don't offer that. Like, I'm a dick if I don't offer that to my fucking closest neighbors. The people that they hand me bread sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And no, I get it, man.
It was just terrible.
You got a backlash because right now everyone's hurting for money.
Well, and I get that. What really the point of this story that really pisses me off is, in Nevada, you can pretty much all shoot in the desert, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the statute says you have to be a half mile away from a structure or main road, things like that. So I went to a spot that I shoot at all the time. Never had an issue. And I'm talking years, 10 years. Never had an issue there. I'm setting up. I've got a brass bucket, trash bag. I've got target stands. I've got everything. It's not just Billy Bob out there shooting watermelons out in the fucking desert. A damn desert park ranger comes up. I've never seen these people before, ever. One person, one agent, she comes up, she rolls up to me. She's like, hey, what you doing? And I tell her, I'm like, free class. I give her all, I'm a security business owner. I'm allowed to do training, all this shit, right? So I give it all to her. I said, hey, here's all this. Here's my lesson plan. I actually have a physical lesson plan, my PowerPoints, everything, right? She's like, okay, I'm just going to go tell my dispatch who I'm out here with. This, and she goes back to her truck. She comes back out, writes me a citation for having a vehicle in the desert. And I'm like, I was like, are you kidding me right now? I was like, and I've been told, like, I'm pro law enforcement, but I'm also, don't be a dick, right? So I'm like, you understand what I'm just trying to help new people. Yeah, I know. And that's why, you're getting one citation. We had 2 cars out there. She's like, that's why I'm only giving you 1 citation and not citing you for the second. Because I was like, you don't have to do this, right? She's like, no, that's why I'm only giving you 1 citation. She starts writing, and I was like, is that $210? She's like, well, there's actually a processing fee, so it's $280. I was like, what
the hell was wrong with that person?
Yeah, I was so pissed. So we ended up moving train.
It's a lot of
so free training ended up costing me $280. Anyway, that's my rant. But no, I mean, it's important to go ahead and give back to the community when you can. And we had a great class. We had 15 people show up, and they walked away a lot smarter, and I hope a lot safer. Not that it would be something that they retain, but at least they got an initial.
They just had to have some kind of familiarity with that thing,
exactly,
while carrying it in their household. You know what I mean? Like, even just basics of like securing your weapon. You know what I mean?
Honestly, even had a load of magazine. I mean, there was one person that showed up there, and the rounds were loaded backwards in their magazine. They couldn't figure out why it wouldn't feed.
Very common. So it's very common.
That's how broken down it had to be to them. As far as everything. So.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And so, like, you've been in the space now for, emergency prevention and everything. And, I wanted to have you on here to kind of talk about what are some things that, your average family who's not like us should be doing, right? Maybe some, how much food is important, how much training is important, what are the things that maybe even in your household, but, I would say more for the people that are untrained. I've had people ask me all the time, like, how do I get my family ready for this? Like, man, that's a big statement, and, I'd rather have someone like you, Ansis, who damn near does this daily for a living compared to me, who's a little rusty on the side of it,
Sure. Well, I did put together a crisis management kind of a one sheet information.
Is it a PDF?
Individuals. It is a PDF. And
would you mind showing me later? Can I put it on the back end of this, or are you charging for it? Whatever it is, just tell me. I can send the link.
No, this is something I've been sending out to everybody. It's actually on I posted it on my social media platforms of LinkedIn, Facebook, and my
Sweet.
Instagram. So again, it's nothing to charge. I want people to be prepared,
Right.
And the first step really is kind of what you're getting at, is that mindset, right? And that even starts with the active shooter stuff. So I always tell people the first step is mindset. You have to have the mindset that it is possible. Once we get you there, cool. Then you're going to be accepting of all the other information that I give you. Because if you just don't get, it's not going to happen. You're going to close that door, and anything I say just doesn't matter.
I try and tell it to Christy, right? I tell her, like, I always think of the worst thing, because then it's like reverse planning. Like,
you can always dial it back.
Yeah, but it can get here. Well, let me just be prepared here at least. So if it does, I'm ready.
Well, that's kind of where guys like us are good. I mean, there's also guys like us that aren't good because they don't know how to dial it back, right? So they're always at 10.
They can't live a normal life and have a barbecue.
Right. So what I did was in the other problem that, especially guys in my space, we understand the acronym Keep It Simple Stupid, right?
Yeah.
But in their mind, what they think is simple isn't simple at the lowest level. Right. So it's simple in our world.
Yeah.
Duh. You didn't get that. But when you're talking to a secretary, she's like, no, what are you talking about? Well, come on. You don't, so you really have to think at that, kind of reduce it to that level. So that's why I put out a one page. It's fairly simple. And again, can people sharpshoot it? Yes, because we're great at that in our industry, right? Yeah. However, there are some points in here that when I've had these conference calls with other organizations, the feedback I get is, "Oh my God, I never thought about that."
Right.
So just to if you want, I'll just go down some of the check list. So the first thing is obviously staying informed. I like to tell people, stay informed, get it through multiple different channels, right? So I don't care if you're a Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, great. Those aren't the only news sources. Go out to Sky News, go out to the BBC, see how is it affecting the world, right? And see how the world is reacting to this, because that'll give you a sense of self, of what to expect here, right? The way it impacted Italy isn't how it impacted us. However, we're getting to that point, right? So that gives you a little bit more of a well-rounded. So
there's so many things of why maybe Italy was hit so hard. It is an older community, right? There is a majority, a lot of smokers. This attacks the lungs. So I started thinking on that, like it can look really bad there, and then a couple countries over, not as bad for multiple different reasons. And we have 100%. To be open-minded to understand that as well, right? Like my wife is reading these things and goes, "Oh my God, 1,000 more people are infected." I'm like, yeah. How many are hospitalized? Those are the numbers we should pay attention to, right? And then how many are dying as per guys who are getting infected? Like people are reading the wrong stats and taking it and it's scaring them. And instead of like, let's be realistic on who is recovering and how many people are hospitalized. And those are some numbers I pay attention to more.
Well, I think, and I don't think you'll ever get the right answer from any one particular source. But the question I have is when they say that 1,000 new corona people have tested positive for corona. Well, corona's been around. Corona's the flu, right? So did they test positive for COVID-19? Yeah. Or corona, right? And one of its variant strains. So, I mean, that's getting into the weeds, but people want to sensationalize and look at the worst case scenario.
And the other number is like how many people actually tested. Oh, 20,000 people tested and 2,000 popped. Well, that's something we should know too. Because then we wouldn't be so freaked out. It's like 2,000 people tested, 2,000 people hit. Like then it's like, oh shit, that is scary.
Oh shit, that's a problem.
So like there's so many levels to this that people have to dig deeper and not just look at face value of what media gives us.
Right. And part of that, as far as the keeping people aware, is I always tell them to download their local news apps as well. And that'll let them know if it does go south, these things are going to start popping on their news of, what hotspots or what areas to be aware of, stay away from, and or again, taking to that dark place of looting has started where. Right. And now we can go into lockdown procedures at our house because we know it's right down the street. So just staying informed.
Yeah.
That's
I want to talk about looting in a second. We'll circle back to looting. I have some questions on it, but let's get down with your list. Continue.
So, okay. And I try to put these in administrative order, right? A little bit so we can plan out, right? So stay informed. One thing that people miss out, contact your insurance, your house insurance, your homeowner's insurance, your renter's insurance. I checked out mine and I realized that I hadn't updated my policy coverage in quite a while. So as we get down this planning phase and shit goes south and you have to leave, if your place gets looted, are you going to be covered on the back end? You can't file insurance. You can't update that once it's been done, right? So this is more of an administrative thing. Hey, just call your insurance and say, hey, what's my renter's policy? What's my homeowner policy? Things like that.
It's great. So I have a rental. I have a rental and I need to do that myself because if this dude just decides to up and leave, man, yeah, okay. Did you hear that?
Right.
I think we cut
like I said, I mean, yeah.
Go ahead.
But I did the same thing. I mean, I had minimal coverage on my house and I realized, shit, I got a lot more stuff now than I did when I first signed up. Yeah. So let's go ahead and up that. And it was only a difference of like $20 extra a month for, $100,000 coverage versus 20,000, right?
Peace of mind, man.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. I advise people take advantage of the deferments if you can. Cash will be king, right? You don't have a whole lot of cash. So if you can defer those credit cards, go for it. If you can defer those utilities. And this was actually foreshadowing before government started saying, look, there's a moratorium. We're not shutting off anything. So this was kind of still forward thinking. But still, if you don't contact your credit card company or anything like that, keep that cash. Cash is king. Don't defer those bills if you can, right? Yeah. And if you want to. At the end of the day, you still have to pay those bills. Yeah. But defer maybe a percentage of it.
Yeah, you're not going to have free money in the end of the month or 2 months. You're going to have to pay those back.
Exactly. So defer what you can, and then on the flip side of that, keep some cash with you. We keep keep whatever you can on you, right? A couple $100 in lower denominational notes, something that could be easily spent. If you keep $500 in cash on the side and it's all hundreds, good luck, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
you need some gas. You can pay
20s. Yeah,
exactly. And keep that amongst yourselves. So I don't carry all of it. So the missus has a share. I have a share. Conduct a personal inventory of your stuff. Right? Do you have what you need for a decent amount of time? What's a decent amount of time? Who knows? Right? I try to tell my family, replace what you've got. So if we have chicken tonight for dinner, we may go out tomorrow and replace that. Yeah. Right. So we're at a constant. We're not putting ourselves in a hole.
We're ordering food.
That too.
We're ordering the food. We're ordering it twice a week because it's a big family here, dude. So we eat breakfast, we eat this, and so as soon as I see like milk is half, order milk for tomorrow. We'll get it tomorrow. By tomorrow, that milk's gone. We're replenished. And
100%.
Just at this kind of comfortable. And there's sometimes, bro, they don't have shit. And so I'm like, okay, whenever they do, we're going to need double on that one because, and so, it's this thing is trying to always keep replenished.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, when we go to the shop and we may have eggs. We may have eggs now and then a dozen eggs in the outside refrigerator, but something to replace. Let's go ahead and grab it. It's here. Right. Not, I need to buy 10 cases of it, but we're just replenishing. Right. Yeah. So keeping that inventory of what do you have, and that includes any medication, things like that you may need. I'm with you. I don't know what the whole run on the toilet paper was. That's ridiculous. Yeah. But, have a plan to harden your spot, right? Harden your place, nice. Get with your neighbors, talk to your neighbors. I think on my block, I'm probably the only one with guns. Yeah, to be honest. But my neighborhood, I'm inside of a neighborhood, so to get to us, it's going to pop off everywhere else before they even get to us, which is fine. But have an idea of what are you going to do to harden your own space, and if you can't, because again, this is for a diverse conversation, right? If you can't, have a space to go to. have families, have somewhere to go to of like-minded individuals that there's safety in numbers, right?
Yeah.
So have that. Now, circling back to your supplies, we have a set of supplies, again, not massively hoarded, but we have a set of supplies that if we need to go, we're taking these big black bins, we're putting them in the car, and they're already pre-staged with water, not a whole bunch of water, just there's nothing wrong with the tap water. There's nothing wrong with the tap water. Critical infrastructure is still running, so the run on the water, no big deal. But it's just some water, canned food, and some other stuff that we have set aside.
MREs, like it's almost like camping gear. Is what?
That's what we got. I mean, we bought the camping plates and forks and that kind of stuff. Fairly inexpensive because obviously things are tight right now, but you can also put aside all the extra crap you have in your house. If you've got extra plastic cups, throw them in there.
Yep.
Dig them out later once this is all over, put them back, but just set stuff aside that is easy to grab and go.
Yeah.
With that, if part of your plan is to leave, be realistic. You can't take your whole house.
Yeah.
So have that stuff. And that's what people kind of lose sight of, is being realistic. And then they realize, well, I bought 75 packs of toilet paper. I can't get them all in the car. Well, no shit.
Yeah.
Right? So prioritize and let's organize this stuff and what is it we need to take with us, have that as much pre-staged as possible. And that way we can get up and go. I mean, for me, I have a Ford Explorer. I've got 2 dogs, kid, wife. I needed to buy an extra thing for the top of the car. Right. Yeah. I went down and I bought a cheap one. That's 18 cubic feet of additional space.
Yeah.
Cool. Right.
Yeah. We have a plan we have a plan for if we have to leave. We have a location, and it's really just grab your bug out gear and let's get there. And once we're there, we're fine. It's just we just got to get there. If the worst case scenario happens, right? But at the most, I want my home. I'm gonna hold on my home as long as I possibly can until it feels like
I am too.
Right?
Yeah. No, and that's the way I am too. But we still have stuff set aside, and also part of that stuff that's set aside, that if you do hunker down at your house, you still have stuff that you can munch on and eat. While the zombie apocalypse comes.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Again, just understanding you're not going to pick up your whole house. The last thing, in a true story on this one, is the last thing I did put on here is guns and ammunition, right? Because who's going to protect? Who's going to be there to protect you? We already see, 1, they're letting out criminals. 2, they're not. The police. I like to.
They're not arresting anybody, dude.
No. And I like to use 2 examples. The Rodney King LA riots, how quick that spiraled out of control and was uncontrollable.
I was in LA. I was little,
right.
And my dad had to go to work, and we were crying because the firefighter just got shot. People are looting. I mean, it was nuts, dude. And
that didn't get under control until the National Guard and 7th ID came down. And that's only one part of one city.
Yeah.
And they didn't have this. They didn't have social media back then. So when it happens, it's going to, I like to think of, we're sitting right now in the fumes of gasoline.
Yeah.
All it takes is one spark and the whole thing's going to fucking erupt.
And so my question exactly that, look, if it comes to looting, what are the areas of risk first when it comes to looting, right? Like, is it your lower income communities that are going to happen? Is it your wealthier communities? Is it going to be more just like the shops and stuff? Like, where's the highest risk in your opinion of who's going to get looted? Like, doesn't it? I mean, if we go off of the LA riots, it was everyone started rioting businesses, taking TVs, remote controls, Jordans, liquor, and
those are the two things that I talk about first. Is I always say, when looting happens, it's going to be liquor and shoes. Yeah, right? And unfortunately, that is the trend. It doesn't. They don't loot necessity; they loot excessive. Right. So, how hard is it going to be to get into that Best Buy for those TVs? Doesn't matter, because Walmart's right next door, and I'm going to run over that $10 an hour security guard, and it's gonna migrate from spot to spot. So I think
looting makes no sense, man.
No, but it never does. I mean, that's like in LA.
Right.
You look in LA, you burn down your own city. Great, you have to live here. You know?
It was really weird. It was, and they were just beating up people driving by. He was just pulling them out of cars and punching them because they were white or they were black or they were.
Reginald Denny was one of them. Yeah,
Reginald Denny destroyed him for life.
Well, that's when I reflect back onto that great movie 13 Hours, when they try to pull him out of the car and he's met with a pistol to the face, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no,
Right?
exactly. But if you don't have a pistol, you don't have anything to protect yourself. You're not going to stop.
Drive as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And that's part of that mindset of, you have to realize, and this kind of does go a little bit extreme, but for guys like you and I don't know if you've done it, disable your airbags. If you hit somebody, what happens to that car? Airbag goes off and the vehicle shuts off.
Never thought of that. Holy smokes. Great.
Right. So,
because eventually your vehicle is going to be what helps you get to from point A to point B.
Correct. As quickly as you humanly possible. Right. So
all those driving courses going to pay off.
Well, I mean, it is one of those true stories that we from a life lesson. We were in Afghanistan, and we were driving around in brand new Toyota Land Rovers, and a V-bid went off, and it tripped one of the fucking vehicles, and the vehicle was dead. Like we were pretty close to the X. We couldn't leave because one vehicle was down hard, and there was nothing we could do about it. It's because our mechanic people didn't disable that function.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
It thought it was an accident. Vehicle shut off, all electrical, everything fucking killed it, and we were screwed. So we had to cross-load it and then torch, a $200,000 vehicle.
Yeah. Lesson
so,
learned.
I mean, but that's a lesson learned that we can transition into this. Yeah. If you do hit somebody or you hit something in your vehicle to escape, your airbag's going to go off and your vehicle's going to be down.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just thinking about looting. I think you're going to have like all the businesses are going to get looted first. If it happens, and I'm just in my head when I'm getting prepared for it, is like all the businesses, fine, they're all going to get looted, which is stupid, and that's going to happen. I think the last case scenario is going to be the houses, right? It's going to be homes. People won't start coming into homes until you start really needing shit, and that's where we have to be. That's what I think, my head.
I think those are the areas of opportunity. Like I try telling. A family member of mine, fairly liberal, and lives in a gated community. I live in a gated community, and I said, "You're kind of on the next. You're on that chain of events, right? Because I'm not going to go loot Section 8 apartments. What do they got? Nothing, right? Chances are they're my friends that's going with me. Right. So where are we going to go to? People know where the higher end homes are, right?
Yeah, middle class, middle class and the upper class.
Right. Yeah. So they see these homes, they figure you've got something. And when it does become part of necessity, you've got something that I need, right? I'm not going to your house for Jordans. I'm going to your house for canned food. I'm going to see.
Yeah. For oats and guns.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, I mean, I think that is a fairly next level kind of scenario. You're not going to go into those track homes that are, I mean, they may. I mean, we've seen an uptick here in a lot of vehicle robberies,
really,
and a lot of car break-ins.
Are they just taking whatever they can find?
Yeah, I mean, they're just area of opportunity, knowing that no police are being reported. No cops are coming, right? There's nobody coming to stop any of this. And then out in Vegas, the big thing. It used to be. I don't know if that's what they're breaking in for now. A lot of people keep guns in their cars, so people break into the car looking for any kind of gun that may be stored in there.
Yeah, no, the gun should be on you.
It should, 100%. But I've known people that keep guns in their glove box. I had a buddy that drove a nice Mercedes AMG, always kept a gun in the glove box. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, that's strange. Well, damn, man. Well, dude, so your book that you have out on Amazon.
Oh, yep.
What is that called?
It's called Active Shooter Workplace Violence Preparedness. It's under the acronym of PACE. Again, when I wrote the program, we're military, so we love acronyms.
Yep.
So I broke it down as simple as possible. PACE stands for prepare. What is it we can prepare ahead of time? That's everything from mindset to understanding situational awareness. I hate when you hear on the news, just got to be situational aware, but they're not explaining it to the lowest person, right? What does that mean?
Yeah.
So in the book, it explains, situational awareness and things. Then the ACT part, that's where we talk about run, hide, fight, your decision that you want to live, not give up. We all understand that, right? You don't give up. I'm going to chew your face off before you kill me as much as I can, right? So we talked about that in the ACT. The piece that that I put in here, which I think is still kind of tip of the spear, if I can be bold enough to say that, is we put in a care portion. Everyone says talk, we got to provide first aid, but nobody explains how do we do that. So my course, I can actually issue bleeding control certificates to everybody that goes to my class.
Oh, that's great.
And we talk about the basics, tourniquets, pressure bandages, and how to pack a wound, right? Because those are the three main life-saving things that we can do pre-hospital. We don't get into nasal pharyngeals. We don't get into tension pneumothorax. They're not going to understand any of that
shit. You just need to
right?
stop the bleeding, man. Stop the bleeding.
Exactly. So we threw this into our training at the get-go. 2015 when I started, that was one of the first things that really set us apart, is the medical. And we talk about alternatives, using
we met around 2015, 2016, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Right around there.
Yeah, dude, if you ever do another class, after all this craziness, if you ever do another class, I'd love to come help with the medical side.
Yeah, that'd be, awesome. Yeah. And then the last part is those evacuation considerations. I try to tell people in an organization, look, if you're safe, stay safe. Police will find you. Yeah. Right. You don't know what you're running into. You hear a lull of gunfire. He could be reloading, grabbing other guns. You don't know what's happening. So if you run around the corner thinking it's over, you could be running right into that person.
Yeah.
And then and what to expect when the police come. You're a big guy, border patrol. If you arrive on a scene and people come running at you, worst case scenario could happen. Or you're going to grab me, throw me on the ground. You don't know who I am,
right?
And having to explain that to these people, like, well, I'm just a janitor. Great, I don't give a shit. I don't know who you are.
Right.
And for my safety and for your safety, I'm putting you flat down on the ground and we're handling it. So just letting, kind of spelling it out from A to Z, right? From what can you do to prepare all the way through the evacuation. And really a lot of that stuff's kind of come to play now, getting prepared.
It's exactly it. A lot of it is getting prepared now.
Yep.
And so you're also finished up your second book, and then when that'll come out when?
Oh, I got that bad boy right here.
Hey.
Yep. So this one, when I started doing the book, I kind of threw the kitchen sink at it, right? And then you kind of have to go, we need to really separate this stuff out. So the second book is from the organizational aspect. And I frame it of, look, we have the emotional side where we want to save lives. That's a given, right? We don't want people to perish. We want to save lives. But we got to put that other hat on from an organizational standpoint. What's the liability, right? How is it going to affect us long-term if something was to happen? Yeah. So again, taking through the same processes as an organization, what can you do to prepare? Do you have workplace violence? Do you have critical crisis management plans? Do you have this, that, and the other? And talking through that, what's the legal ramification? I discuss all the legal liabilities that they're going to be held to in court, as far as wrongful death, just a whole slew of reasons they're going to get sued and lose a lot of money. And then I talk them through the process of program management and project management, and explaining the difference. Project management would be, we don't have a program right now. We're going to get a program up and going. That's where the project stops. And then the program starts where we maintain, right?
Yeah.
We implement the plan. We assess the plan. We make sure it still fits our model, make sure everything is still legit. If not, we circle back and readjust and re-implement.
Cool.
And so that's not something at an individual level needs to know, but that's something that at the decision-making level, they need to understand that.
Yeah, corporate levels
mindset.
Yeah, corporate levels need to know this stuff.
Right.
Well, it's great, man. I appreciate you giving us all the info. Do me a favor, email me that PDF. I'd love to upload it with this whenever I do. And I should be uploading it in a couple of days or so. Man, thanks for just dropping some knowledge for people. I want to make sure I brought in someone that had the experience and someone who's been doing it like day to day, not just me who just in my head doing it. And I appreciate it. You want to tell people where they can find you on your website and also download us on their own if they wanted to.
Yeah, sure. So my website is scg-lv.com, stands for Security Concepts Group Las Vegas. You can reach me at jcameron, JCAMERON, at scg-lv.com. I'm here to answer as many questions or any questions as possible. Again, I'm here for community. It's all about giving back as much as you can. The more, if people can take one thing away or they get multiple things, great.
Yeah, I'll make sure you
none of us know it all.
On the iTunes one, I'll add all your information if you want, and so people can find you.
Sweet.
Sounds good.
No, sweet. Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, man.
In the meantime, bro, take care of yourself, and dude, I know your family's in good hands. So
we're doing our best, bro. We're trying to get them ready.
That's it, man. That's it, brother.
All right, brother.
All right. We'll talk soon then.